Day 5 of Green Bay Packers practice is in the books. Today was the first full padded practice, so we have a lot to go over today, including some unfortunate injuries we saw in today's first padded practice. So let's go over all the takeaways from Day 5 of Green Bay Packers training camp. I released a highlight video just before this one, showing you guys the clips from the warm-ups of today's practice and also an 11v11 clip. Hopefully we're going to see 1v1s tomorrow. We didn't end up seeing them in today's practice. Usually once the pads come on, the 1v1s start, so again, hopefully we'll see them tomorrow. Go down and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be a new viewer here and want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this offseason. I post highlights and takeaways from every single day of Packers training camp that you won't want to miss out on. All right, so let's dive right down into this thing and start with some roster/injury news. Some big news in terms of players returning today and also some players getting hurt, which we'll dive down into later in this video. But first, the players returning. Elgton Jenkins has been activated off the NFI list with that back injury and did practice today. Now, it was only in individuals and walkthroughs, but nonetheless, his pads were on, his helmet was on, and he was taking some practice snaps with Jordan Love, which is great. We want to see that moving forward. We want to see that chemistry being built now that he's officially our center. Now, Elgton Jenkins, after practice, also elaborated on the whole contract situation that I think we were all sitting here going, this Elgton Jenkins contract situation is a big deal. Apparently, it was never a big deal, and said he expects no change to his contract coming with the move to center, and that he's completely on board. He had two conversations with the Packers this spring, one to consider the move to center and the second to accept. Jenkins cited that it was family reasons for not participating during OTAs and minicamp rather than a contract issue. So Elgton Jenkins is fully ready to go at full-time starter at center under his current contract, which is just great news overall. That's going to be a big boost to this offensive line. Another big injury update was that Quay Walker participated in walkthroughs for the first time this offseason. He had offseason ankle surgery, didn't participate earlier this offseason, hasn't participated in anything in training camp up until this point. Now, he didn't go in team sessions, but he was out there with his pads on, his helmet on through walkthroughs, through warm-ups, and looked good out there. So he looks very close to returning to full contact, to full team sessions. Also, Savion Williams returned to team sessions, 11v11s, and also made a couple plays today. We saw him suffer a concussion, I believe it was on Friday last week, and then returned yesterday, but was only in walkthroughs, and he returned fully to team sessions today. That's great news for a player who suffered a concussion. A couple of notes from Matt LaFleur before today's practice. He was asked about Tyron Hopper and his thoughts on Hopper so far, and he said, I think he's done a nice job. I think he's taken a step in the nice direction. Great to hear that from LaFleur on year 2 of Tyron Hopper so far. And finally, LaFleur was asked about Anthony Belton potentially playing the guard spot. We've talked about that a bunch on this channel, that I think in the future, that's kind of the outlook of him, that in the future, maybe the outlook of Anthony Belton is at guard. But Matt LaFleur did have something to say about that, and he said, I think he's got the talent to do that. We just want to try to get him a little more settled on the perimeter at tackle. So it seems like the Packers just want to train him at one position his rookie year and let him stick at that. Maybe they didn't really like what they did with Jordan Morgan last year in terms of stretching him thin between two positions. And right now they really see that the battle at right guard between Morgan and Ryan is just a two-headed race. And hey, let's keep Belton at tackle for now. And if Rasheed Walker for some reason has performance issues or goes down with injury, now they have Anthony Belton to potentially replace him. A guy that was a 3-year starter at NC State, already 24 years old, has the size to play tackle. A lot of people would consider him pro ready. Going over these starters in today's practice, not much changed today in terms of starters. On the offensive line, it was the same as it has been. Walker, Morgan, Ryan, Monk, and Tom, because both Banks and Elgton didn't participate in team sessions, but through walkthroughs at the beginning of practice, Banks and Elgton were there, so the offensive line for that, which is probably going to be the week 1 starting offensive line, Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan, and Zach Tom. One note for the defense was that Javon Bullard got the start next to Xavier McKinney at safety, but Evan Williams came in the very next play. So I talked about it in the highlight video. The Packers aren't just going to lock Javon Bullard down to one position. They're also going to give him reps at safety, and he'll rotate between safety and nickel corner. So now let's go over all the takeaways from the first padded practice, day 5 of Green Bay Packers training camp. There's a lot to go over. Starting off with, it was just a high-intensity practice. We were kind of feeling that coming, that the moment the pads were going to come on, it was going to be a very high-intensity practice because of what we've heard in past practices from Nate Hobbs kind of playing a little bit too aggressive. And it happened yet again today with Nate Hobbs. Very early, it was a run play to Marshawn Lloyd. Nate Hobbs came up to make a play, kind of hit Lloyd a little bit low for practice sense, and Lloyd came up injured. It's very unfortunate because it seems like Marshawn Lloyd simply can't catch a break, and I was very excited for him to carve out a potential running back number 2 role in this offense. Now, my thoughts on it are I love the intensity from Nate Hobbs, but you also got to keep your guys healthy, right? I think Nate Hobbs is going to be awesome in terms of this defense, a physical player, just like Nixon, just like Carrington Valentine, and Jeff Hafley is coaching his players to play with this physicality. So I love to see it, but I also don't want the players to get hurt as well. It's just an unfortunate turn of events. You're out there, you want to practice how you play, but you got to tone it down at some point. You got to understand, hey, I can't be hitting my own players low. The Packers brought Nate Hobbs off the field for a handful of plays, but he did return and continued to practice. But Marshawn Lloyd, unfortunately, did not return to practice, so that's something to monitor going forward, of course. The Jordan Love to Matthew Golden connection continues, and he seemingly is showing up as a potential wide receiver number 1 already for this offense. Super, super excited to finally get the preseason going and see Matthew Golden against some other defensive backs, some other teams. He had a really nice contested catch on a deep out route versus Keyshawn Nixon today, maybe one of his best catches of camp. But although later in the practice, he had his first would-be drop, you might not consider it a drop. It was a little bit of a high throw from Jordan Love. Some would say a bad throw by Jordan Love and not necessarily a drop on Matthew Golden. Nonetheless, it skimmed his fingertips and ended up in an interception to none other than Nate Hobbs. So Nate Hobbs has been making a ton of different splash plays during camp so far. As I mentioned earlier, Savion Williams returned from his concussion and made a splash in today's practice right away. Caught a very nice 32-yard corner route from backup quarterback Malik Willis. In terms of some defensive notes, Brenton Cox Jr. showed some good contain today versus the run, but did drop out of practice with an apparent injury, something to monitor. So that's 2 players that got hurt in today's practice that we have to monitor moving forward. I also got an exclusive clip of Dontavian Wicks early in this practice, kind of limping around on the sideline. Didn't really see this listed anywhere else. I don't believe he participated in team sessions, so that's also another thing to monitor going forward. I don't think he got hurt in today's practice, more so was possibly hurt from yesterday's practice and just rehabbing on the sideline. Lucas Van Ness continues to beat Rasheed Walker at left tackle. We've seen in prior days without the pads, LVN's had some nice pressures against Rasheed Walker, and he did so yet again today. Had a really nasty spin move against him. Wish we had a clip of this, but Lucas Van Ness finally using some pass rushing moves. I'm all about it. Undrafted free agent Nasir Stackhouse continues to make buzz at training camp. We saw him make some nice run stuffing plays yesterday, and when the pads came on today, it was no different. Closing down run lanes today. He's still by far my undrafted free agent pick to make this roster at that nose tackle spot. Another wide receiver that's quietly having a great camp is undrafted free agent Sam Brown from the University of Miami. He continues to make plays here and there. Now, he is really working with the third team most of the time, but he had a really nice catch today on the sideline from El Gersma, and he's a guy that's definitely pushing for a practice squad spot. Another wide receiver that had a nice day of camp, but also came up injured. So just a bunch of injuries today, unfortunately. Malik Heath, he had a really nice diving catch on the sideline late in today's practice from Malik Willis. Also had a couple other catches during practice today. After that diving catch on the sideline, a back shoulder catch, he did come up injured, it seemed, and was attended by trainers right away. In terms of the offensive line and defensive line as a whole, the offensive line did a really good job today in pass protection, but didn't do a great job in run blocking. The defensive line definitely won that in terms of stopping the run, which has been a theme so far in training camp. The Packers haven't been able to get too much going in the run game. Want to see that progress as camp moves on. But of course, it's also nice to see the defensive line shutting down the run so easily. And on the flip side, we want to see the defensive line create more pass rush. Then to wrap things up, going over some Brandon McManus news as he's kicking every other day. He didn't kick yesterday. He did today. He is up to 23 for 23 in training camp. He has yet to miss a kick, including a 36-yarder and a 43-yarder to win for both the first team offense and second team offense in the 2-minute drills today. Just been absolutely perfect in training camp thus far, making me very relieved that we have a full-time good kicker heading into this season. So those are all the takeaways I have from day 5 of Green Bay Packers training camp, the first full padded practice. We have yet another practice tomorrow that is full padded. Then they're off Wednesday and then back at it Thursday, Friday, family night on Saturday. So definitely be on the lookout for all the content to come out on every day of practice here on this channel. Really appreciate you guys coming by. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.